my name is Scott Call. I'm the 712 counselor, and I have up here our webpage, which is where all this information will be. I did not make copies of anything because the slides you'll see, we'll get those posted within the next few days so that you can take a look at it. Anything else comes up, you can always refer back to it, get a hold of me by email or call. All right, so you'll be able to get to it one way or another from YouTube or our website. And just so you can see, this does have a lot of information. A lot of it has been geared toward the 9-12 section, which is what we're trying to get your 7th and 8th grade students to. And I will continue to update all of this with 7th and 8th grade information as well as we get going throughout the school year. Just to get your 7th and 8th grade students, current 7th, 8th grade students, just to have a somewhat of a guide, what to expect, what they should be doing now as 7th and 8th graders, what they're going to be expected to be doing when they get to high school. Came up with this. Dr. Trevathan helped out with it. I hopefully do it justice. There is a much longer guide that we will also put up on the site. Has a lot more details into it. I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of everything so that you had an idea of what to expect for your sons and daughters. So as we go, we look at academic excellence and wanting to build that strong foundation underneath students. Which means they want to look at the main core areas. So if they can get English, math, science, and social studies, that's over half of what they need to start thinking about when they get to high school. It's a lot of the credits that they will need for graduation, and we'll go over all those graduation requirements. But if they can start to think about 7th and 8th grade year, building those foundations and getting ready to move on to something more in-depth and detail as they move in and move up in grade levels, more workload, and teachers will want to take a look at, where have you come from? What are you doing? If they can get those strong foundations going now, they'll have a good, like I said, a good strong foundation. And it helps for them to find out, where can I place myself in those courses later on. With that, in order for parents and students themselves to understand what are the Ohio graduation requirements, I kind of borrowed this little piece. I overheard another school counselor talk about you basically have 3 buckets you have to fill up for graduation. Those 3 buckets are course requirements, competency, and readiness. They fill those 3 up over the 4 years of high school. They graduate. Moms and dads get to have that graduation party, send them off to the next step of their lives, and have a wonderful experience here at Hillsdale. So when we look at what are those 3 buckets, and I kind of put a little 1 bucket in the corner so you knew which one I would be talking about too. So when you go home, you're like, well, I know there were 3 buckets, which one was what? The first one is all of the course requirements. There are minimum course requirements of 21 credits here at Hillsdale. If you go on the state website, it'll say 20. Schools can go above that, but they can't go below. So Hillsdale has always added 1 extra credit to it. But you can see they're going to need 4 English and 4 math credits by the time they get to graduation. They need 3 credits in both science and social studies. They need either a half credit of phys ed or a PE waiver. So they could play sports in high school and be able to fill one of those forms out, and then they don't have to take PE courses. So that's one thing the state put in, a little caveat that they put in for those students who play sports or do marching band. 2 years of any sport or a combination of 1 year band and a sport, they can fulfill that PE waiver and that requirement. They also do have to have a half credit of health and financial literacy, which we offer in-house. And I will say for the health course, there is a CPR requirement for that. They take health here in-house, they get that CPR met. If they take health online somewhere, one, it's an out-of-pocket cost to parents, but then they also have to get a separate CPR certification, and that I would just need a copy of that credential so I can check that off their graduation list. And the last piece, that financial literacy course, is now required with the 2026 class to have a standalone half credit of financial literacy. Following that is the 5.5 credits of electives. So that means anything if they want to take art, Spanish, ag courses, those are all electives. The other nice part is if they go above the 4 credits of English, 4 math, or the 3 credits of science and 3 credits of social studies, anything above those, if they take a 4th science, goes over into the elective area. So they can take more of the math if they like more math. They can take STEAM courses that we offer. So there are CCP courses, which are College Credit Plus courses as they get going into their high school career. That can also go into electives or into those required courses. And I know I'm going to throw a lot of information at you tonight. Again, please look it over once it's online. You can always ask me any questions, email, call. Happy to answer. So the second bucket they have to fill up is called demonstration of competency. So competency deals with our Ohio's state tests that they have to take. And the main one that we focus on first is Algebra 1 and English Language Arts 2. So when they take Algebra 1, they will take a state test. And the state says they have to have at least a 684 score or higher to check mark that or partially fill that bucket halfway. The second one they have to take is when they take English 2, they will take that state test, and again, if they get 684 on it or higher, they will check mark that second bucket altogether. Most of the time, Algebra 1 is taken freshman year, or possibly they could take it 8th grade year if they meet the requirements for it. If they don't meet the requirements, we have to make sure they at least test a second time before they can do an alternate pathway, which there are 4 different pathways there. Again, I didn't put all of the information for each one. We try to concentrate on the first 2 to get them through there. But if we need to, most of the time, that third one, the career experience and technical skill, is the one we usually look at if they're not great test takers. They could try the College Credit Plus route, taking College Credit Plus courses as well. Or, again, if they're looking at military enlistment, that will also do that alternate pathway. The college admissions tests, the ACT or SAT, they have certain scores that they have to meet for that alternate pathway. It's a lot of information, and when I even tell kids, they kind of get glazed over. And I'm like, how about we just keep going with the testing piece first, and we'll see how you do. And then once we get past that, at least second round, if they didn't pass one of those 2 tests, then we start to look at alternate pathways to make sure they have a pathway. I still continue to have them take the tests, though. They do take tests in 7th and 8th grade at the end of the year. They are state tests also, and these are going to be just like those. They're online, so they're used to doing that type of testing. But that is the second bucket they need to fill. These are all the state tests that they are required to take. So we already talked about the ELA 2, the Algebra 1, but they also have to take a geometry, a biology, American history, and American government. The nice thing about these other tests are they lead into actually our third bucket, the graduation readiness piece, which is demonstration of readiness. And what the third bucket is they have to earn what we call SEALs. there are actually 12 seals that they could possibly earn. They only need 2. Out of those 2, when you look on this left side here, one of those 2 seals has to be a state seal. So there are 9 state seals, and there are 3 local. So for example, on the local side, if they play a sport each year, they can do what's called the student engagement seal. There's paperwork. It's very simple. They just write the sport down. Coach or advisor, signs off, and they turn that into me. And I check mark that seal for them. So they've earned 1. The other main 2 that a lot of kids will receive are actually the citizenship and science seal. Those are based off those state tests. So when they take biology, if they score a 700 or higher on it, they will earn that science seal. The citizenship seal deals with the American history and the government tests. Again, if they get 700 or higher on each of those, they will earn that citizenship seal. Now, the nice thing also about the citizenship seal and science seal is in citizenship, let's say they get an A in American history, but they get a 699 on the test. When they take government, they get a 700 on government. Well, if the state said if they get an A or B in those courses as well, we can mix and match with those test scores. So if they got an A in American history but only got a 699 on the test and got a 700 in government, we can still have them earn that seal. Same with the science, but we can't use biology. They have to use what they call an advanced science course. So if they get an A or B in an advanced science course like chemistry, or CCP physics, environmental science, anatomy and physiology, I think I said environmental science, they get an A or B in that, we can also do that for that science seal. So if the kids are, like I said, they have that great foundation from 7th and 8th grade and are moving into the high school courses, they get those A's or B's and test well, they'll earn these without any issue. But again, they just have to earn 1. And I talk to kids individually when they ask about other ones. There's a lot more information that goes with those. And if you have other questions, like I said, please feel free, reach out, talk to me. We can sit down and I'll explain all of them to you. Right, so good question. So just for those watching later, CCP courses don't interrupt being able to take those tests. So for example, a CCP government course, the grade they get in that course will translate into their test score. So if they get an A or B in that CCP government course, they earn that. They can put that toward earning that citizenship seal. Same with a science, the CCP science course would do the same thing. That's graduating in a nutshell. I know it's a lot of information and it's 4 years that it will take them to get there. So now what we look at for your sons and daughters is, how do we discover what their path is? How do they discover what they want to do? It's early on. They may not have any idea. I have a freshman in college, had no idea what he wanted to do all the way up until the end. So it's okay for them not to know, but we can also show them different things for exploring those. For example, we have a Naviance program that deals with career and college interest inventories. So they can start to look at what kinds of things do I like, take this inventory, and it can come back with different areas of jobs that they may like or college interests and what colleges offer those positions. It can also link to where they may want to work instead of going on to college. That world of work is a big one too for a lot of our kids. Or they can also look at going into the Ashland County West Homes Career Center and coming out with a trade from there. That's a 2-year program. They come out with, they could go for welding, they can go for animal vet science, a lot of different programs that a lot of our kids go to. They can still earn College Credit Plus courses out there if that's what they're looking to do. Engaging in the job shadowing that they have here. I believe 8th grade year, I'm not sure if the 7th grade does it or not, but 8th grade, they do job shadowing. It's a great opportunity to see, do I like that type of work? They can go, job shadow, see if it's something they like, and say, well, nope, I didn't really like accounting, maybe that's not my thing. It's a safe way of exploring. They also need to kind of develop what kind of extracurricular skills they have. How do they become well-rounded? How am I going to balance a lot of activities with schoolwork? Do I want all 7 periods at the high school when I get there? Right now, 7th and 8th grade, they have intervention periods, so they basically a study hall so that they don't have to be overwhelmed with a lot of work trying to balance out sports. Some kids want all 7 periods, and that's great. If they can handle that, they can do that. They just tell me I want all 7 periods scheduled that I've signed up for, and I can handle the rest at home or on the bus to a game, anything like that. Also, they want to start thinking about, how do I get involved in some of the other non-sport activities? Drama, music, National Honor Society, all those different clubs and activities. Start to pursue leadership roles. Try to finagle my way in. A lot of colleges, a lot of jobs. Military want the full holistic child, so they look at everything. They want to see, have you tried doing some leadership pieces, or are you involved in different activities and not just going to school doing classwork? They want you to build relationships as you're going through 7th and 8th grade with teachers, counselors, myself, our school liaisons, secretaries. Secretaries, know everything that goes on. So if they get that good relationship with all of these different people, they're going to have those leadership skills already. They know how to speak to people. They're going to be able to be in front of people, talk to them, give them information as well. They want to have a support network, so that way when they go home, they can tell mom and dad, hey, I did talk to Mr. Call about some courses I want to take. What do you think? So we can all get involved with their educational experience. If they want regular check-ins, all they have to do for me is stop in. I know sometimes I'm not in my office and the kids will let me know that, but they do find me in the hallways and stop me, and we talk, or we'll go back down to my office, we'll take a look at different things. I do want to kind of put one thing up there while we're talking about this too. And I know with trying to track all of this, parents, is it easy to track it all as a parent, trying to figure out where I put a paper and what did my student take, what did my son, daughter take? I just want to show you real quick. I know it's kind of small. This is a graduation checklist I do for every single student when they hit 9th grade. I create one for them so that when I meet with them every year, they can see the courses they take, the courses they've taken, the grades, how many credits, GPA. So this is part of that 21 requirement that they have to do, and any other requirements with that, like the CPR, financial literacy course, a fine art, for example. Now I know this is my son when he was at Worcester, so bear with me a little bit. They have a lot of different classes and they do some different items, but I did this so I kind of knew where he was at in high school. I am more than happy to share this with you when they get there as well, so that you can kind of see what's going on in their high school career. And some of you may already have, if you have an 8th grader, they may be taking high school classes already, so they could be in Algebra 1 or Spanish 1. So they're already creating their high school GPA. So again, like I said, there are mandatory requirements at financial literacy, CPR, fine art. I also track any of the honor diplomas that they may be looking at. I track all of their state test scores, their ACT score as well. Then down, this would be a second page down here at the bottom, I show their competency, and then I also show their readiness. Again, there are the two pieces for competency, the Algebra 1 and ELA 2. And if they got 684 or higher, it turns green. Same with the readiness piece. There are the 9 state-defined seals, which ones they've earned, and also to the right there, the locally defined ones, if they have earned those. So I keep track of all that for you. You're welcome to always ask to see an updated piece of it. Normally at semester time and end of the year is when I start updating all of these as courses finish out and have a final grade. But like I said, I do this when they hit their 9th grade year normally for each year, and I update it as much as possible. So with that, again, they want to plan for high school and what kind of courses they're looking for. They want to balance everything out. I don't want to overload them, and I'm sure you don't want to overload your sons and daughters by trying to take all high-end courses. They need some of those electives just to kind of relax a little bit. I know a lot of our students love doing ag. We're a huge ag community. They love doing the arts. Spanish. Mrs. Zimmerman does an outstanding job with our Spanish kids and students who are doing world languages. So again, that's where I try to help see where they want to go when I talk to them. And you can also look on Naviance. I believe there's a parent piece that we will get out once our kids start getting on there more. 8th graders have dabbled in it a little bit to kind of explore some of those courses and where they're looking to go in the future. But a big thing too, and we run into it, trying to get that study skills and that time management piece with them, making sure they have the time to get all of this done in a timely fashion. Do they use a planner? Do they use a calendar? Our family uses a Google Calendar to put everything in, so we know exactly who's where we have to run to, who's got what at what time. For example, I didn't realize my oldest son, who is looking at grad schools, I didn't realize this past weekend he and his mother were traveling to Connecticut, to Yale, where he was going for a performance audition, until I looked at the calendar. So when she came home and said, hey, I rented a car, we're going to Connecticut, I went, oh. So again, trying to instill in your sons and daughters, use planners, use your time wisely. Remember, you don't want to wait till the last minute and procrastinate and try and do something and only do it partially, and it's not done as well as you know you could do. Standardized test preparation. There's a lot of them out there. ACT, SAT are the big ones. Again, trying to get them moving toward, depending on what their outcome is. Those tests are good for everything. They can tell you where you're at in your education. Have you had those different courses that align with the ACT or SAT? When they are juniors, they get a free ACT test paid for by the state. So there's no worry about, hopefully, test anxiety. They can come in, they know it's free, they can always take it again on mom and dad's dollar if they want, but they can kind of get an idea of where am I at in my educational steps here as to what do I need to work on, because the ACT and SAT give that feedback. Khan Academy is great for test prep. That is through SAT, which is College Board. Practice tests are out there as well. Even for their state tests, they can get on and start looking at release test questions now to get ready for those if they want to do well on it and get that 684 or higher on the ELA 2 and Algebra 1 test. And if they're not sure, practice makes perfect. Just keep taking until you get an idea of how the test is taken. A lot of times that's the biggest issue. They've never taken the test. They don't know what to expect and how they're going to ask questions. So if they can get out there and get online and take a look at some of that stuff, hopefully it starts to reduce stress. Or I know I've read peppermint candies help do that, or lemon flavored candies help stimulate the brain for test taking. So if they have those candies, they can always unwrap them ahead of time, have them out so that they're not making a ton of noise during testing, to be able to help themselves. And then there's also, we worry about personal growth. Obviously, we've seen it since COVID. The social emotional piece where We want our students to be healthy, have healthy relationships, not worry about harming themselves or being alone. So we take care of that. Our doors are closed. It's confidential unless there's certain things they're doing to themselves or maybe to somebody else, then we have to say something. But we want to make sure they're in the right mind frame during high school because it can be stressful, I won't lie. It's a lot of work on their plate, and I know as a parent as well, we pushed our boys. I'm sure everybody wants the best for their sons and daughters as well. We want them to do better than us, is usually what it turns out to be. So if they're facing something, get help. Don't be afraid. It's not that stigma anymore of I'm a guy, I shouldn't have to worry about doing that. I don't cry, I don't show that emotion. It's not that way anymore. So to get their self-preservation and have a good head on their shoulders, knowing that they can get help and seek the help when they need it. Again, long-term goal, 7th and 8th grade. I know when I talk to them, they look at me and go, I have no idea what I want to do. And I understand that is perfectly fine. I'll go back to my son, his personal experience. My youngest, Brady, whose credit checklist I showed you, had no idea. He went from wanting to go to the Career Center and do dental hygiene, went out to the Career Center, visited like our sophomores do, came back and said, nope, don't want to do that. I want to do something in the medical field, but I don't want to deal with needles because I don't like needles. So we talked about that, and he came up with, he's now majoring in biology, minoring in chemistry. He wants to go on to optometry school, where he has shadowed our optometrist as well, and noticed that she does not do a whole lot, if at all, anything with needles. So he's okay with that. But to set those long-term goals, and it can be any time. I know kids' minds change all the time. And that's okay. They're allowed to. They don't have to know exactly what they're going to do. I always tell the kids when I meet with them as well in groups, I went to college, I changed my major 4 times before I decided on education. I actually started out like my youngest one. I went undecided, then I went pre-med, and then went marine biology, then just science, and then decided finally on education and taught science for a handful of years before going back to school and becoming a school counselor. So they don't have to know. I was well into my 20s before I knew exactly where I was going to end up at. So setting those long-term goals is great. It gives them an idea of what they want to look forward to. And looking at all those high school pathways, again, we talked about all this. Talking with parents, their moms, dads. You guys are a great sounding board and have a lot of experiences they don't have yet. And you can help them maneuver through a lot of the different items that they have in their heads, as long as we're willing to listen. And I'm sure everybody has great open communication with their sons and daughters. We always had to sit down around the dinner table because I know we were always in a rush to go places, or they're stuck in the car with us, so we would talk to them then too. Just, what are your plans? What do you want to do? What pathways do you want to explore? Do you want to go on a college visit? Do you want to go job shadow somewhere? So we explained all that. And I know, granted, I'm in that seat of knowing some of that stuff and talking to my boys about it, but we all have those same experiences of what we've done and what we've tried. We can always help them out. So looking and exploring all different pathways, whether it's college, military, world of work, trade schools, all that stuff. And then the final preparations to transition over to high school, again, they don't have to have that whole plan figured out. They may have some sort of long-term idea what they want to do, but it's theirs. And I always try to tell the kids, this is the time to figure out, what do you want to do? It's not about what your friends are doing, because eventually you're going to move away from them and start a career and a family on your own somewhere else possibly. Or you may stay in the same area, but that's up to them. Don't always depend on what is your friend doing and I want to make sure I have all my classes with you, and eventually you don't like that class if it was an elective course. I know a lot of the kids come into me and say, hey, can I get Spanish 1 fourth period instead of second period because my friend's in that one? Well, I can't technically really do that because our numbers have to kind of stay equal is what we're trying to look at. So that usually one that goes off by the wayside and they're stuck in the course that the computer originally set them to. So just make sure they're looking at those final preparations of, this is for me, not always for my friends. I know it's tough. 7th, 8th grade in high school, they want to be with their friends, but they're going to see them, I promise. And lastly, just some questions to consider. And we've talked about it. Career pathways. What do they want to do? What are they looking at doing? And when we get more into that Naviance program, and they get in there and kind of dig in and delve into it more, they're going to get a better idea of kind of what career paths they may like based on their interests. Study habits are always a good thing to start figuring out. Do I do note cards? Do I just write notes? Do I read over the book that we were studying? So all those different questions come up as they're moving through 7th and 8th grade into high school. So right now, at the 8th grade level, I know Mrs. Hayes has 8th graders every 9 weeks, and she is introducing them into it. For 7th grade, I'm not sure where that's at yet for that Naviance program. I know administration is still trying to figure out how they want to roll it all out. I know they've talked to teachers as well to try and get it into study halls, but we know that poses a problem as well, just because not everybody has a study hall, or we have kids who are here for classes and then leave for CCP classes. Yes, so they have access to it now. So they call it it's a single sign-on. So if they have Google, they would just click on that Google sign-in button. It'll log them in. Now, I may not know where to go exactly, but up top there are tabs. And if you click on them, it opens up drop-down menus, and you can see like interest inventories. So you could take that. There are course planners as well. So they'll be able to do kind of what I showed you of all the classes. They can put in all the classes they've taken and then what they want to take, and they have their whole plan in front of them. And they can work with mom and dad at home and say, yep, let's try this. I want to take this course junior year. I want to take these courses senior year. And even the 7th and 8th grade can start planning that stuff out too. I just don't know what the full rollout is yet. I know they're still looking at how to get it in with the teachers to be able to do that, like I said, during study halls, but then we run into the problem not everybody is here with a study hall. It might be, let me think about that. So in their Google Drive, I don't know if it's Drive, but the 9 little dots, is that what it is? 9 dots? The waffle, yeah, there it is. If you click on that, it gives you all the different apps. I think it is in there. At least that's where I can find it. I don't know if it's there for kids. I mean, I would take a look there. I think it's down a ways, because I know ours, as the educators, it's way down. But yeah, he could get in there. It should be ready to go. All he's got to do is click on it, open it, and then do that sign on through Google. And I know I've been working on entering all the classes we offer so they can do those course planners and get in to do the interest inventories. And they can save, they can favorite things. It's an amazing platform. And I know we're still working on the full rollout of it. Correct, they will take the state test as an 8th grader. So they get the credit, they take that test, they get the 684 or higher. That check marks half of that, I should say, fills half of that bucket. ELA 2 would be the other half for competency. Yes, so 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders have selected. The incoming 7th and 8th graders have not. There's not as much choice for when they're 7th and 8th graders, besides if they meet the criteria for algebra, Spanish, and then if they want to take choir or band, or both of those. So theirs are a little more set in stone than when you get to the high school realm. I mean, there are certain things in high school that they have to take, but their schedules open up a lot more for choices.